And away we go. Welcome into the show on this. Hold on, what day is it? Hold on, time out. I'm going to remember it. It is Wednesday. Yeah, that's what day it is, because yesterday was Tuesday. See, you can't get anything by me. Welcome in to the show on this Wednesday. I'm sniffly, spitting and sputtering Matt Wyatt. But it doesn't matter, because I'm in the friendly confines, but more importantly, the warm confines of the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau all across the great state of Mississippi. Now, I'm also fine in here because I got hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. But I'm a little disappointed in myself because I made an entire pot of coffee to pour in my thermos just for this radio show. And when I was pouring it out, something wasn't right. I mixed it really weak. I know, blasphemy, right? I don't know what I did. I never do that. But I poured it out, and it's like you can see right through it. I mean, it's brown liquid coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi, so it still tastes good. It's just, it's really more brown. The coffee is more brown than it is black. And I usually make it so thick. I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe my coffee maker is finally giving out. I've worn it out. It's time to get another one. Does anybody care? I mean, it's too late to ask you to send me a new coffee maker for my birthday or for Christmas. I mean, that's behind us. I'm going to have to wait till the next go around of those things. Well, at any rate, it's hot. It's not as thick as it normally is, but it is hot. So that's another reason I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't feel sorry for me. We'll get through the 2 hours together one way or the other. Feel free to shoot me a text. Give me a call. Comment on the live stream. By the way, hey to you out there in live stream land. If you're on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter, feel free to type in a comment right there. Post it. When you post it, it pops up on the screen right here. And then I can pop it up on the screen for you to see it. Like, let's see, Will said, dogs win again. Glad to be done playing in Nashville for the season. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to go up there. A weird place. And they're not bad. Vandy's not bad. And, State at one point looked like they were going to do what they've done to everybody and blow the doors out. They built a 20-point lead. Then here came Vandy roaring back. They got hot, hit some threes. Next thing you know, they're back in it. But State able to pull it out. And then a tough trip tonight for Ole Miss as they head on up to Fayetteville, Arkansas. So we got some basketball. What in the world happened to Tennessee? They're supposed to be the number one. When's the last time the number one team in the country lost a regular season game by 30 points? Surely they pulled that stat out if y'all were watching it. I didn't watch it. I just saw the score. Has to have been a while. Anyway, comment on the live stream. Good to see y'all. You can also text me or call me. Text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It is the best sausage, in my opinion, hands down anywhere. Country Pleasin'. Crawfish and pork. New flavor. You need to try that if you haven't. I was talking about that yesterday with somebody. Recommending it to somebody. To Chip down there at the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And Chip puts together the Mississippi Outdoors podcast. I just go in there and host it. And he was like, you know what? I went down there the other day, and he says there was a couple of flavors I didn't get that I wanted. And I think crawfish was one of them. I said, oh, you got to get it. Anyhow, the Country Pleasin' text line. Text me at this number, 885-3776. 601 number, 885-3776. You can also call me on the Davini Equipment phone line. That way I get to hear your voice. Number to call, 897-1059. Got it? 601 number, 897-1059. The first text I got today, somebody wants a little energy in the show. I think they're picking up that I'm not necessarily bringing the energy today like I'm supposed to. So we got to pick it up a notch. Robbie on the Country Pleasin' text line says, what's up, Matt? How about some Sonic Boom? Well, why not? Roll your windows down. Turn it up to 11. Ride around. See if you draw any looks. Here we go. Did y'all see the Sonic Boom and the Rose Bowl parade? Did y'all see that? Big finish. Oh, yeah. Will likes it. Wherever Sven is, he's going to be upset that he missed it. I think he missed the first part of the show. He may be taking a nap over there tonight over in Berlin, Germany, but he did miss it. Hey, let's don't miss this. Check in and see how old B was doing today. B!
Hey, Matt White.
Well, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing good.
So you're enjoying the Netflix. Is that right?
Yeah, I stayed away for so long, and here I got in partially. I got it, back in December.
Yeah.
Partially because the Aaron Rodgers thing, but mostly because of you spoke of this Kings of Tupelo.
Yeah.
I says I got to see it. And since then, I decided, well, I'm gonna get my money's worth if I'm jumping back into this. It's been enjoyable. I told you about that Red Sox documentary looking back on the 2004 comeback against the Yankees, and that was really fun to look back at.
Was that the team that broke the curse for them, that won the World Series and broke the curse, the 04
Yeah.
team?
Yeah, and they were down 0-3 in the championship series to the Yankees. Came back and won 4 straight. Yep, then broke the curse against the Cardinals.
Okay. I didn't remember that they were down 0-3. Came back and won that series. There you have my attention, sir. So you're into the Netflix documentaries on the sports side now. And you had Kings of Tupelo. And you had wrestling last night, or 2 nights ago. And everybody thought it was hilarious that Hulk Hogan got booed off the stage. So, yeah, you're on a pretty good little Netflix run right here. Hey, speaking of Kings of Tupelo, have you heard anybody else talking about that around? People that you know, have they seen it in that area?
I haven't. Excuse me. No, I haven't. Well, no, I take that back. I think PT for MSU said he watched it.
Okay.
But other than that, no, not really. It feels like one of those things, though. It's one of those things that you watch that you probably don't want to admit that you watched.
Yeah, that's probably true for a lot of people. It probably is. Nick, on the Red Sox thing, Nick texted in and he said, reminder that Curt Schilling not being in the Hall of Fame is further proof that baseball writers are pathetic. Yeah, Curt Schilling, Dale Murphy, and of course then there's the Pete Rose and the Barry Bonds argument. So 04, was that the year Curt Schilling, he's pitching with the bloody sock?
That was it, Game 6.
Game 6. I don't even remember what was wrong with him. I just remember that he was bleeding out of the ankle. So I'm going to have to go back and watch it. Sort of revive that memory. I mean, gosh, over 20 years ago now. Hard to believe. Time has absolutely flown by. Well, all right, so keep us posted, Beaver. If you catch any other sports documentaries on Netflix that we ought to be watching. Did you ever watch The Last Dance thing with Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I did. Now, I didn't watch it from front to back, like every minute of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, most of it.
Okay. How long has that been? 4 years ago? 3?
That was 2020 because it was shortly after the world went insane, COVID times.
So they released it during COVID. So we're coming up on 5 years ago that thing came out, and I still haven't seen it. What am I doing? I don't know what's wrong with me. Like if it's a history, like if it's a Ken Burns like history documentary, I'll sit down and watch it immediately. I don't know. I guess the older you get, the more set in your ways and your habits you are, I guess. Unnamed texter says Paul Merrow has the numbers for the Hall of Fame too, but he'll always be bunched in there with Barry Bonds and Curt Schilling. Now here's I don't remember this. Is Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame? I think he is, right? So really, what are we doing? I mean, come on now, what are we doing? Somebody said the Red Sox series was good, but you would have been better with a Manny interview. Oh, I see. Like if they'd gone and interviewed Manny Ramirez now and get his take on all that kind of stuff. Okay, and Nick is, Nick is saying that the Last Dance Michael Jordan documentary, it came out at the same time as the Carol Baskins shenanigans down in Florida. Now, wait a minute. What is that? Is that Tiger King thing? See, I should know this. Millwood's telling me that Clemens is not in the Hall of Fame. Okay. I was thinking he was. Oh. Yeah, so we're starting to put together a pattern here, aren't we, Millwood? Yeah, right. Oh, he can't go in. He allegedly used steroids. Really? Some of them others didn't? Allegedly? All right, over to the phone line, the Divini Equipment phone line. Divini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer, the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S., in fact. Means they've been doing it better, longer than anybody else right here at home at Divini. Now, we think he said BK. Do I have that right, caller? Is it BK?
That's right.
What's up?
Tyreek Hill, the NFL needs to do something about him. You know, he took a step out of the game.
Yeah.
And earlier in the year, he tried to show up. He showed up a police officer, a Miami-Dade police officer, and everybody took up for him. And the police officer was just doing his job. He wouldn't let his window down, and he had heated windows, and they took him out and handcuffed him. And he should have been suspended from the NFL for doing that. But everybody just, he does stuff to get attention because he's not the fastest guy in the NFL no more. And he just do stuff so his name can be heard over the sports channel.
Yeah. You know, BK, and it's interesting, like that seems like, you know, a year ago when he went through that deal of, he got pulled over and then got arrested and then released before the ball game. It seems like a long time ago, but you're right. I mean, the reality was that particular situation. You can't blame the policeman for what he did. He's just doing his job. I think anybody with their feet on the ground see that he was doing his job.
Yeah, that's why I said the NFL should have suspended him for trying to show up the police officer just to get some publicity.
Yeah, and I guess there was no punishment of any kind looking back on it. And, you know, that's the thing now. Like, he's so talented and such an immediate spark that you know he's going to get an opportunity. But it sounds like he's done in Miami, you know, from all from everything you hear and with the coach, kind of his comments after the ball game when Hill took himself out of the game. And it's not his first, what would you call it? It's not his first hiccup.
Offense.
Yeah, offense. Yeah. And, you know,
he said, coach,
go ahead, BK. No, go ahead. I interrupted you.
The coaches said, you know, they let him know they wouldn't tolerate again, but, you know, seems like they just don't let it go until he do something else. Yeah.
Well, and let's say like it is. You know, a guy like Tyreek Hill is going to get more opportunities than somebody else.
Yeah, he's talented, but, seems like he's talented and wanting to get away with stuff. If he'd have been a lesser athlete in the NFL, they wouldn't have went along with it when he showed up police officer. There'd have been more backlash on him.
Yeah, that's true.
Than it was on Tyreek.
That's true. You know, side note, I saw someone posting on X the other day that they were trying to predict or something that Tyreek Hill was going to go to the Cowboys. And I thought, man, of all the connections, like you talking about oil and water, those two, that would not be a good mix. A guy like Tyreek Hill going to the Cowboys. I mean, I'm sure it'd be entertaining because something's going to happen. You would know that for sure.
He going to want the ball all the time.
Right. I agree. All right, BK, appreciate the phone call. Call me anytime. Don't be a stranger.
All right, then. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the NFL playoffs. You get college and NFL stuff this weekend, and it's pretty interesting now. So what? Playoff game, college football playoff game tomorrow night, another one on Friday, and then get some wild card stuff this weekend in the NFL. And I'll be here for you know mixing it in there with basketball. I was talking with somebody earlier today. He was saying, man, I was joking around with him about making sure he had his bread and his milk because they're saying we may get ice and snow this weekend or Friday. And he said, I know. He said, I've got to get to that Mississippi State and Kentucky game on Saturday. And I'm like, yeah, you know, what luck, right? 14-1, 2-0 in the SEC. They rank you in the top 15, so everybody feels good and warm and fuzzy about the team and ready to support. Kentucky coming to Humphrey Coliseum for a Saturday game, and lo and behold, it's going to snow 3 inches overnight before and cover the roads in ice. Oh, what luck. Back on the Tyreek Hill thing, Will commented on YouTube and said, Matt, what's worse, Tyreek quitting at the end of the game, the 49ers player refusing to go in the game, or Anthony Richardson taking himself out mid-game because he's tired? Yeah, which one of those is worse? I think as an NFL player, one of 53 on a roster, refusing to go into a game, that's the worst. You know, taking yourself out because you're tired is pretty close to that, but not as bad as just not going in. You know, and I guess you're at the end of the season. It's the last game of the year. It's the second half or late in the game, right? And Tyreek Hill quit. Now, that's awful. It's bad. It's just not nearly as bad as refusing to the coach's face to go in the game when that is what you do professionally. Professionally, you play football. And you're refusing to go in the ball game. Hunter commented on YouTube. He said, I heard a stat this morning out of the 14 NFL teams, out of the 14 NFL playoff teams, only 2 quarterbacks were drafted outside of the first round. Jalen Hurts in the second round and Russell Wilson in the third. Yeah, and what was I caught wind of a stat, and I don't even now, I can't recall exactly where it was. And maybe it was on this show. It might have been on social media. But like the overwhelming numbers of first and second round quarterbacks who've won Super Bowls versus those who aren't. I mean, like, it's minuscule the number of quarterbacks who were non-high draft picks that have won a Super Bowl. It almost never happens. Interesting how that, in the long run, stacks up that way. Jason out in Flagstaff texts the show, and he says, didn't Kansas City, send that guy packing to begin with several years back? Was it beating up a woman or bad DUI, something like that? He said, I didn't keep up with the NFL much back then, but almost certain I read that somewhere. You know, he had some run-ins and different things prior to reaching the NFL. Like, I want to say this was early in his college career, and it's why a guy of his talent level would have played Division II football in college, as Tyreek Hill was accused of abusing his girlfriend who was pregnant at the time. And you had that. There was, another. Yeah, you're right. There was an issue or two while he was in Kansas City, and so they were fine to let him go. As dynamic and as showtime as it was, anytime the Chiefs played, when you had Mahomes and Tyreek Hill running routes, it was must see. They didn't care. That's Kansas City for you, and the Hunt family and Andy Reid and not having it. Don't care how fast you are. Good luck. That's kind of the way they approach it. And that's just one of the many, many, many factors in terms of like decision-making and culture and everything that go into being a back-to-back Super Bowl winner going for 3 in a row. Now, yeah, as much or more so to do with that is factors like, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes. But still, Kansas City is an example of a team that goes, I don't care who you are, how fast you are. I'm not putting up with that. See ya. All right, just getting started with you here, hour 1 on this Wednesday in the Bureau, Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up to a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
To hear about them all and get to talk about it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Welcome in, Sven. He's here on the live stream. He's on YouTube, and he says, well, Kentucky is down bad. Tennessee got blown out. He's talking basketball. Auburn survives Texas. Here come the Bulldogs, he says. Next 4 games, Kentucky, at Auburn, Egg Bowl, the Egg Bowl of basketball, and at the Tennessee Vols. He said if we split these 4, we'd be 16-3. You know, I'm going to tell you what else, too. If you split those 4, you're what, so far ahead of where you've been in previous seasons. I mean, some of that goes without saying. Yeah, they got you ranked highly, whatever, for whatever that's worth. I don't think it's worth much. But, you know, if you believe it's an indicator. But you look at the record, you got 1 loss on the year, 2-0 in the SEC, and that stretch of those teams. See, here's the thing, Sven. Okay, you said Kentucky down bad. Well, yeah, they lost at Georgia, which I didn't see it live last night. I watched a little bit of the replay this morning, and I didn't realize that Georgia had revamped the look of Stedman Coliseum and the floor and everything. It looks like a better place than it used to. It looks like a different place also. But the floor and all is wild, kind of the way they had it painted. But anyhow, they had a good atmosphere, and, yeah, they put it on Kentucky. And you say, well, Tennessee got blown out. They did. They lost about 30 points last night to Florida. But the thing about it is, I mean, Kentucky, yeah, they lose on the road at Georgia. This is a really, really good basketball league this year. But Kentucky just beat Florida this past weekend in Gainesville on Florida's floor, went in there and beat them, who then turns around and beats Tennessee by 30 points. I still think there's a stats, floating around out there somewhere that would probably speak to this, but I just can't remember ever seeing a team that is ranked number 1 in the country in men's basketball losing by 30 points in the regular season. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And Auburn won, at Texas, and relatively close game. State kind of let it slip out of their hand. They were getting ready to just completely blow that game out. We're up by 20 at one point in the second half and started the second half on a big run, but then kind of let Vandy get back in it. But a win's a win, right? Was it 11-point, 12-point win, whatever it was? But I agree with you, Sven. That string of teams and games you have coming up, that's a tough stretch. I mean, talking about Kentucky, you go to Auburn, then you host Ole Miss, you play Tennessee. All of a sudden, that Ole Miss win over Georgia looks really good, doesn't it? So it's going to ebb and flow as these teams play each other, and some will separate and some won't. And Tennessee is good, even though they did lose by 30. But I think it's an indicator of no matter who you are, Kentucky last night, Tennessee last night, hey, public service announcement, Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, There's coming a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a random Saturday where it's going to be your turn, where you're not playing well, you're not shooting it well, and the other team is lights out, and somebody's going to run you off the court. And it will not mean that you're not any good or that you're a fluke. It will just mean that that's happening this year in the SEC. I mean, Tennessee playing the same Florida team that just got through losing at home to Kentucky, who lost last night at Georgia, blows Tennessee out by 30 points in that game. It's going to be a roller coaster this year in SEC men's basketball, to say the least. Robbie commented on the Country Pleasing text line. That number is the number to text, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. 885-3776. You can also text 885-ESPN, and that'll get in here. Robbie texted the show, said Auburn won, and Bruce Pearl got his 214th win, making him the winningest coach in program history. How about that? And that's not overall. No, it can't be. No. But 214th win at Auburn? How about that? Who has the best atmosphere right now in the SEC for their home games? It has to be Auburn. I mean, they're all pretty good. Of the teams that are good, they're all pretty good. You know, hey, probably one of the more underrated home atmospheres in the SEC, it doesn't get talked about a lot, is Ole Miss at the Pavilion. I mean, it's a phenomenal facility, and their fans love going there, partly because of that. I mean, they're good. They have a good atmosphere. They put their students down there. You'll see Saturday, even with ice on the ground, you'll see Saturday be a huge crowd for State's game against Kentucky. And when State's good, it is just raucous in the hump. It is hard on other teams to play well in there. Over the years, you've heard so much about Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville, where Ole Miss has got to play tonight. And, when Arkansas is rolling, that is a pit to go in and out of to try to get a win. And Alabama has good atmospheres in Tuscaloosa. They do, at Coleman Coliseum. It's just you don't hear it talked about much as necessarily a really tough place to play. I don't know why that is. It has to be tough. I mean, they're all tough. When I saw last night, you again saw the score, then they get up this morning and watch a little bit of the replay of the Kentucky and Georgia game from last night. And Georgia has picked it up. They had a big crowd, relatively full. I mean, mostly full. Kind of a new paint job on the floor. Lights look different. I mean, it had a good atmosphere now. And you certainly wouldn't say that over the years about Georgia basketball is a tough atmosphere. You certainly wouldn't say that. I will say on the other end of the spectrum, though, even when LSU is good in men's basketball, they never get credit for having really a tough, it's like the opposite of their football program. It's just not a hard place to go play, even when LSU is good. Vandy, their credit, Vandy is a place where nobody wants to have to make that Tuesday or Wednesday night trip to Nashville to play them, especially when they're competitive, because the arena's different, right? And the benches are on the end, and it's always a quirky kind of road trip. It always feels like a trap game. That one felt like a trap game for State going into it last night. I don't know anything about Texas or Oklahoma. Nothing. I know nothing. I don't even know the names of their arenas yet. I have to learn that. A&M, according to what everybody says, like when you go to a basketball game at A&M in person, that it feels awesome. Like it's a really cool, but that never comes across on television, and it never comes across as a tough place to play. And burying the lead, I mean, Rupp Arena, yeah. It's probably the toughest place to play in the league, especially historically, because whether they will admit it or not, it's true. Kentucky has always gotten favorable officiating in Rupp Arena. They just have. And, it's 20-something thousand people in there, and they care about it. I mean, they love it. So it's probably, historically the toughest place to go. But in terms of the best atmosphere at its home basketball games right now, and this is for a couple of years in a row, Auburn is it. They built that arena, hired Pearl, sent Chuck Person to jail. They did. But, man, they love it. They fill up the arena and they go. Joe texted the show and said LSU will not win a conference game this year. So they're that bad. So, Joe, LSU athletics department decided, okay, all in on football. Okay, we'll get to basketball when we get to it. And they have not gotten to it yet, is what you're saying. Robbie agrees with me. He says, no doubt, Auburn has the best atmosphere. Beer Slayer texted the show. Oh, he did this yesterday. I guess we're going to get a countdown, aren't we? He did this yesterday, and the number was 37. He's done it again today, and now we're down to 36. Beer Slayer says, hey, Matt, friendly reminder. 36 days away till baseball at the Dude. Hashtag Hail State. It won't be long now. And, buddy, hey, Beer Slayer, when you're having to stay inside this Friday and Saturday because it's 18 degrees out there and there's ice hanging off the crepe myrtles, and you're like me, and you're too old to be slipping and sliding down the driveway. Okay, so you just got to stay inside. Just know that you're roughly a month away from baseball, which it'll be cold for those early games, which means, though, we're really close. We're really close still. The spring popping out, tulips blooming. We'll have a day soon. It'll be 78, maybe 80. The sun will come out. Wear your short breeches and fire up the grill. Baseball. It won't be long now. But let's don't wish away basketball season, because this is going to be one to remember. Trust me on that. All right, more with you here in the Bureau. Stick around.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing, it's a fun thing, it's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing, it's a wing wing. A brand new transparent fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5 Plus 5. 625.
Yeah, so congrats to Bruce Pearl. How about that? Will pointing it out also. Yes, Bruce Pearl is now the winningest coach in Auburn basketball history. Speaking of coaches, Sven says what Coach Jans does reminds me of those Vic Schaefer teams. Watch out. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. Okay, they're all getting paid in varying degrees. I think Josh Hubbard's probably a very highly paid individual. And he's got a really cool NIL agreement and deal with C Spire, similar but different to what Jackson Dart had with C Spire. But he's a star. He's probably the most notable college basketball player in the state of Mississippi. And, one of a few players around the country that's up for the Wooden Award and that kind of thing. He's big time, right? He is absolutely a difference maker. But here's the thing. Whether it's Hubbard or last night, whether it's Riley Kugel or whether it's whoever, man, Jans coaches them. And by the coaches them, I mean sometimes crawls them. Chews them up and spits them out. Like last night when Kugel, he has had a stretch where he could not possess the basketball. He's just fumble fingers there for a while. He turned it over like 3 times in about 4 minutes. And, man, I just wish I had been close so I could hear exactly what Chris Jans said because he lit into him. And Jans is funny. He'll get they get the timeout, and he's mad, and they come over there, and he gets this, his walk, he walks around extra sped up. It's like you're watching somebody on double speed and everybody else is normal. He's like, he's just. So part of his anger is taken out in the pace with which he walks to and fro. But man, he absolutely is legit. Hunter says Coach Jans is legit. Last year we played inside out, changed it this year. Great coaching job. Man, and so what was it? What were the numbers last night? I got it for you right here. It was 12-point win, 76-64. Only outscored them by 1 point in the second half, and that's after Vandy made the run. State had built it out to a 20-point lead at one point in the second half. And then Vandy came roaring back and hit a bunch of threes. State did not hit a ton of threes last night, 6 out of 16. But Melendez, your leading scorer, he goes for 19 points and 7 rebounds. Played 32 minutes in the ball game. Hubbard is the only player who played more minutes, played 33. Harris started, played 31. Claudio Harris had 13 points, also had 7 rebounds, like Melendez. You got 16 and 5 for Cam Matthews, only 9 points in the night for Josh Hubbard, and was 1 out of 5 from 3. Couldn't really get it to fall. State played 3 players off the bench. Kugel was one of those. He did not score, but the other 2, Keyshawn Murphy and Sean Jones Jr., combined for 11 points, 3 assists, 8 rebounds. So they didn't go to a bunch of guys. I guess you couldn't. The game dictated that you couldn't really go to a bunch of guys on the bench. But, man, the ones you went to, those 2 out of 3 really produced for you. But I guess the point that I was going to make is what they did last night against Vandy is what good teams do. Really good teams do. They are very, very deep. And they don't need so here you are against a decent Vanderbilt team. Vandy's not going to win the league, but they're a more than competitive Vandy team. They're a decent to good Vandy team, right? And you didn't hardly get any scoring out of Josh Hubbard. 9 points and 5 assists to go with no turnovers in 33 minutes. I mean, it's not like Josh didn't play well. He actually really played well. A point guard who goes for 9 points and is +5 in assist to turnover, 5 to zip, didn't turn it over one time. But he was 2 out of 4, so 50% at the free throw line. He goes 1 out of 5 from 3, which is uncharacteristic for him. So the 9 points, is uncharacteristic for Josh Hubbard. And you don't need him on a night like that, on the road, against a very competent to good Vanderbilt team in their arena. And you get a 1 for 5 night shooting the basketball from Hubbard and still figure out a way to win the game because you're so deep and everybody can score. If you go back, let's be real about Cam Matthews, 4 years ago, as a young guy, big, long, good-looking athlete, can jump out of the gym, great guy, great human being, wonderful locker room guy, glue guy, hustle kid, but not a scorer. Not the best ball handler. Maybe even a little bit of a liability on the offensive end. And shoot, man, he's double figures all over the place this year. He went for 16 last night, 16 and 5. 4 for 4 at the free throw line. 6 of 11 from the floor. 3 assists, only 3 turnovers, had a steal to go in there and had 3 blocked shots. I mean, he's doing everything. Here's a transfer. Claudio Harris, 13 points, 7 rebounds. Had a steal. Only 1 turnover in 31 minutes of handling the basketball. And there's Melendez leading a transfer. So, he transfers in and goes for 19. I think that's the thing that's fun about them is you go, as a fan, it's more fun to watch them. Of course, they are winning, but it's more fun to watch them knowing, hey, if Hubbard's cold tonight, so what? We still we got other guys who can score. He didn't have to do it every night. You've had some teams in the past where you're so reliant on one guy to do the scoring for you that if he doesn't, that's it. The end. No chance. Now, how about this comparison? Cameron Matthews reminds me of Dennis Rodman, Sven says. Do the dirty work on the court. He is the glue of the team. Man, he sure feels like it, doesn't he? Jared commented on Facebook, said when you win and you don't have your best night on the road, it makes you pretty excited about this team. And that's it. Well, and again, Jared, this is not a pump the brakes statement at all. I think if you're a State fan, you can go ahead and be as excited as you want to be about this team because their potential is through the roof. if you hit the shots and get the right matchups, you can make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. No question. You have that kind of team. And it's a heck of a note to the job that Chris Jans has done. So I'm not saying pump the brakes, but what I am saying is reality. Look at Tennessee last night. You know, they're the number one team in the country. They're sort of the class of the league. They have been, you know, for several years under Rick Barnes. Again, ranked number one in the country, and play Florida and lose, not just lose, but get blown out by 30 points. We're held to 18 points in the first half like State did to South Carolina this past weekend. Look at Kentucky. Kentucky beat that same Florida team this past weekend, goes on the road, loses to Georgia last night, who nobody's talking about. And all of a sudden, you know, Ole Miss's win over Georgia looks even better. Well, at some point this year, it'll be State's turn. They're going to play a game coming up at some point where they just get run out of the gym. Somebody's going to beat them, right? At some point, it's going to happen to Ole Miss. It's just good. You know, as good as State is, the league is such that let's just get ready for it. There's coming a game where it'll be our turn. It'll be our turn to take the licks, and it'll be our turn to be the bug, and the other guys will be the windshield. And it's going to happen. It happened to Tennessee last night. It happened to Kentucky last night. It's coming. That said, State is also no different, frankly, than those other teams. They're not. State is no different than those other teams in Tennessee and Kentucky and Auburn in that State has a legit shot to win the whole league. They got a shot at it. They have a legit shot to hit the NCAA tournament as a high seed and you know, make a deep run. They absolutely have that kind of team. Whether you do it or not, you know, we'll see. But that's the kind of team they've put together. They're fun to watch. Isn't it? I mean, as a fan, think about all the, okay, now I'm not just trying to bring up tough memories, but as a fan, think about all those teams where, you know, Rick Ray teams where if Craig Sword didn't score 20 points, you had no shot to be in the game. Think about some of those Howland teams where if Q Weatherspoon didn't go off, that's it. No shot. You have a team now where everybody can take, it's like everybody can take over a game, can take one over. Still not so sure, though, that my favorite to watch, that I'm just every game I'm secretly pulling for him to do more and more, is Keyshawn Murphy. Because, you know, his light bulb's coming on, and, man, he is a matchup nightmare for everybody on both ends of the floor. He's playing great basketball. All right, hour one in the books. Hour two coming up on this Wednesday in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around. Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online, murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that, what that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
For speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel.
Come.
All right.
Here we go, kicking off hour number 2 with you today on this Wednesday. Staying connected to you because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. Check them out at cspire.com. Over the Christmas break, we went in there, got Mary Lydia an Apple Watch. Now when she's at, ballet practice and show choir practice and those different things, she can't have her phone in her hand, but she can have her watch on. See, so always staying connected, and that's what C Spire does for us as a family, and keeping me connected to you too here on the show. And Beaver, all of us connected technologically, which is kind of like, hanging out. I've said that before, and I don't. It's not just a line to feed you on the radio to make us all feel warm and fuzzy like we're one big happy family. But what I'm saying is kind of true. Is it's not necessarily feasible that here, if you listen live, for example, in the middle of the day in the metro area, like the guy mailman and he's out doing his route, and Beaver's in Home Farm Bureau studio. I'm in the Farm Bureau Insurance studio in Tupelo, and you're there, and Sven's in Berlin, and you see what I'm saying? Denzel's in Union. It's not feasible that we could get together every day for lunch. But this technologically is like getting together every day for lunch for a little bit. We kind of hang out, feel like we get to know each other. So if you're just tuning in and you're like, what's this guy talking about? What I'm saying is you can jump on the live stream on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter. It's streaming over there. You can actually see me. Now, it's not to your benefit to have to look at me. It's just whatever. These things, we can hear each other. Because you can comment. You just type in a comment right there, post it on Facebook on the live stream, or, punch it in and post it on YouTube, and I can see it, and then I can pop it up on the screen. You can be a part of the conversation that way. It's the same as seeing us at a table and plopping down and pulling up a chair and joining the conversation that way. I'll even pour you some hot coffee in your mug from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. And it's hot. Yeah, it's good. You can also text me on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It's the best. You know what I did yesterday? I was down there at Country Meat Packers yesterday afternoon. And then I left there and I went to Vicksburg, spent the night with my in-laws in Vicksburg. Well, I picked up at Country Meat Packers, there at the butcher shop. And they have the market, everything. They got everything in there. I picked up a package of those beef and bacon pinwheels and one package of the asparagus wrapped in bacon. And then one package of they call them chicka peppers. It's like a chicken salad type stuff with cheese in it, down in some jalapeno peppers that are cut in half, and you bake them in the oven. And I took all that stuff with me to Vicksburg. Went to my in-laws' house and preheated that oven, and I cooked them in there and had them waiting when they got home. And we ate good last night at the Freeman household. Not to rub it in for anybody who didn't, but we ate good. You can also call me, get to hear your voice that way, on the Divini Equipment phone line. And the number to call is 897-1059. 897-1059. Let's see. Hunter said, Matt, I know it's not football season. He's on YouTube, by the way. He says, Matt, I know it's not football season, but can you go over my first question and comment about the defensive end? I think that's what you mean, right, when you say DE. Well, let me scroll up here and see if I can find it, Hunter. Let me go back. It's a little ways up here. Okay, here it is. He said, I watched some film on the defensive end from Coastal Carolina that we got, talking about state. He has a good get off and uses his hands nicely. Hopefully it translates to the SEC. And then he said he was wondering if I could watch some film on the new quarterback, Luke Kromenhawk, and possibly give some thoughts, maybe a video like the Quinn Ewers video. Yeah, sure. I think we've got some time to do that between now and spring practice. I think certainly we've got some time to do that, so maybe we can do that. I have not watched a ton of stuff on him You know, Hunter, I'll just be honest with you. I think it's great. You know, the more competition in there in that room, the better, without question. You do have to have depth also because you're a turned ankle away from needing somebody to play. My thought is that if Shapen is healthy, he's your quarterback. Now, I guess the other guy maybe gets a leg up on trying to catch him by getting there and going through spring practice, because I don't know, but I had heard rumors that Shapen wasn't going to go through spring practice. Whatever, you know, we'll see. But I mean, hey, he's in the mix, so it's certainly worth taking a look at. No question about that. Rick, my thermos collecting friend, Rick on Facebook said, I watched my first college basketball game at the old MSU gym. My Sunday school teacher took the class to see MSU play LSU and Pistol Pete Maravich, and it was magical. Now, Rick, so the old gym, let me think now. Yeah, that wouldn't be the 10 gym, but what's it called? The one where the volleyball team plays? Is that, I guess that would be the old gym? I think that's right. Keeping it on the basketball subject, Craig commented on Facebook, and he said State won over Pittsburgh and Memphis. Beating Kentucky is within the realm of possibility. It would not shock me to see the Bulldogs in the Final Four. The schedule is favorable the rest of the way. Yeah, you know, I'm with you on all those points. I mean, you know, State has a good day at home. They are capable of beating Kentucky, you know, but it's Kentucky. They have great athletes. They did beat Florida, who turned around and was capable of beating Tennessee by 30 points. I mean, so if Kentucky has a good day, they are certainly capable of coming in the hump and beating this State team. But, you know, I expect it to be a knockdown, drag-out type of ball game. You mentioned the schedule the rest of the way for State. This next stretch right here, this next 4-game stretch, 2 at home, 2 on the road. Here's what's coming up for State. It alternates home and away, home and away. Home Kentucky, at Auburn, home Ole Miss, at Tennessee. All 4 are ranked basketball teams. 3 of them are top 10 teams. They got Ole Miss in the top 25. But, man, that is a stretch right there. You have to pick up some wins, right? You have to. And in that stretch, if you want to be who you want to be and you want to be what you think you are, you have to pick up some wins here. And, buddy, Kentucky at home and going to Auburn, toughest, you know, the best atmosphere in the league. You host Ole Miss, who knows? And they're good. Ole Miss good. Ole Miss beat that Georgia team who beat Kentucky last night. And then go to Tennessee, which, you know, I'm not saying Rick Barnes is Nick Saban, but Barnes has been really good everywhere he's ever been after losing a game. And they didn't just lose one. They got embarrassed by 30 points last night. So this next stretch is about to be interesting for Tennessee because they're going to turn it on. I don't know who they have this coming week, but anyway, that's a stretch where then after that for State, you got South Carolina, Alabama, Missouri, Georgia, Florida, Ole Miss again at their place, A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama. It ain't easy, but this next 4, this is the stretch. Here it comes. This is the stretch in this season, and it is a huge stretch. Home Kentucky. Go to Auburn in the midweek. Home 2 Saturdays from now against Ole Miss. Go to Tennessee in the midweek. Phew. You want to play big-time college basketball? We're doing it this year in the SEC. All right, over to the phone lines. The Deviney Equipment phone. Deviney Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. Winslow on line 1. What's up, Winslow?
Matt, how are you today?
I'm great. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. I think the place that guy's talking about is McCarthy Gym. that was it was just called the new gym back then.
Okay.
And you mentioned the 10 gym.
Yeah.
I actually saw Billy Joel the first time in that 10 gym, if you can believe that.
Really?
Before he was really famous, the Student Association brought him in for a free concert.
Well, I guess so, because in the 10 gym, you would have only been able to get a few hundred people in there max. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those welcome back to school, and here's Billy Joel. And, you know, he wasn't widely known back then, but McCarthy hosted quite a few concerts. I saw Leonard Skinner there in there.
Really? Now, wait a minute. So
yeah.
the year that Billy Joel came, kind of ballpark year, what time frame are we talking
76.
All right.
It was 75, just a few months before the Hump opened, when Leonard Skinner played there. They played there. Charlie Daniels, Barry Manilow, Dan Fogelberg, quite a few concert acts played there. Now, the place you're thinking about where they play volleyball, it was called the Cow Bar back then.
Okay.
In Chicago, the Carpenters, Todd Rundgren even played in there.
Yeah. And see, I guess I got confused. I was thinking that they played in McCarthy. I couldn't think of McCarthy, but is McCarthy Gym still there? Or are they?
No, it's been gone about a year.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: the guy, if he went in and saw Pete Maravich as a church group, that was some feat. Because I went up there when we were in high school. 2 or 3 of us went up there, and we got there about an hour before the game. And I remember there was this guy out there, and we thought he was like, you know, in charge of the gate or whatever. So we were talking to him, trying to find out, okay, you know, will they let us in maybe after the game starts? And he was really smart. He says, I tell you what, you stay here long enough, and there will come a time when they will let you in. And we said, when is that? And he said, after the game. And so at that point, we headed back home because that was a tough ticket to get to see Pistol Pete.
I bet it was. So you saw, you were in school in the 70s. You saw Billy Joel perform in the 10 gym, and you almost got to see Pistol Pete in McCarthy Gym. Almost.
Yeah. And then, you know, when Billy Joel came back, the Hunt was open, so I saw him twice there on the Gulf Coast, and then his last tour, I saw him at the old Pyramid in Memphis.
Wow. Well,
he's always been a favorite of mine. So, you know, people followed the Grateful Dead around. I kind of followed Billy Joel around.
That's pretty neat. Did you ever see him? Like, am I right? He's sort of known for always performing at Madison Square Garden in New York year after year. You ever see him up there?
I know. I would have loved to have seen it. I'll tell you a little funny thing to end with. At the 10 gym, I got up there right up in front because it was like kind of a mosh pit up there. There was a bunch of us students, you know. And I had on one of those little old Gatsby-looking caps, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And I got excited, and I threw it up there, and he picked it up and smelled it and threw it back. So it was like, no, I ain't putting that thing on, you know.
How about that? Yeah, but any personal, even at a distance, interaction with Billy Joel is pretty cool, though. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, he was always cool. Yeah, always
that's
cool.
great. Good stuff, Winslow. Thanks for the stories.
All right, see you, man.
See you, man. Call me anytime. Billy Joel performed in the 10 gym. I bet none of y'all knew that. I didn't know that. I didn't even know they had stuff like that in the 10 gym back in the day. As far as I know, it was just a hub for pickup basketball games when I was in school in the 90s. I saw Eric Moles put on a dunk show in there one day. And we used to play some intramural basketball games in McCarthy when I was in school in the 90s. A couple notable things happened. It was not an intramural game. It was just one day. It's like a bunch of us football players had some pickup basketball going. This was around 95 or whatever. I was a freshman. And we had pickup basketball stuff going on and guys dunking and doing all kinds of stuff. You know, in McCarthy Gym, we got in there. And in that basketball game, this was before spring, well, maybe a month before spring practice. It was going to be my first spring practice as a football player. I sprained my ankle in that McCarthy gym playing basketball so bad. I mean, I really sprained it. One of those where I'm on crutches for about 3 weeks. And Coach Sherrill, he brings the quarterbacks in, all of us, and uses me as an example and says, no more basketball until after spring is over with. And the other thing I remember in there, and it might have been the same day, but we had several of those, was, I mentioned football players. We have pickup basketball games, and you got these great athletes, and they start putting on dunk show. And it was not uncommon to see, like, Reggie Kelly. He's 6'5" and played tight end in the NFL for 13 years, and he can easily dunk, and all these different guys, bouncing it off the backboard and 360 here and windmill and all this. Chris Rainey, who played running back at State, but was a quarterback, an option quarterback at Amory High School for Bobby Hall in the, around 93, 94. They won state championship or two, I don't know how many. Chris was the option quarterback at Amory for Bobby Hall up there. Great teams. Came to State, became a running back. Excellent running back. He was just always kind of in the room with guys like J.J. Johnson and, DeCenzo and some of those. But Chris had a heck of a day running the ball in the 96 Egg Bowl in the mud in Oxford. Go back and look that one up, Chris Rainey. Well, Chris, he was there. I mean, Chris nowhere near 6 feet tall, okay? Probably maybe 5'10", but maybe not even 5'10". Okay. And we were in there one day in that McCarthy gym, and he said, let me see the ball. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to throw it. He's out beyond the arc. He said, I'm going to throw it, bounce it in the paint, catch it, and 360 dunk it. I laughed. He said, no, I'm serious. I said, come on, man. He said, I'm serious. Watch. And even when he began, I thought he's joking. He's not going to do that. 5 foot nothing. He's maybe 5'9.5" in shoes. And Chris threw the ball in the air. It goes. He takes this big arc around it. The ball bounces in the paint way up high. He goes airborne, jumps in front of the rim, 360 in the air, catches the ball, and throws it home with one hand. Wham! And I made my jaw on the floor. And I remember thinking, I came here to Mississippi State thinking that I was a really good athlete. I'm not so sure I think that anymore. I still don't know that I've ever seen a shorter in person. I know we got Spud Webb and on the NFL and the dunk. In person, I don't think I've ever seen a shorter guy jump higher than I saw Chris right there. Jim on the phone on the Divinity Equipment phone line. Hey, Jim, thanks for calling.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Great. What's up?
I wanted to just tell you, I was at Mississippi State from 67 to 71, so I got to see Maravich play 4 years, the entire time he was at LSU. And his freshman year, of course, we packed out the gym for the freshman game. Of course, freshmen couldn't play varsity. And as soon as the freshman game was over, we all left, of course. But I was there when Maravich, I believe he scored 55 in one of the games against us. I can't remember exactly. I think he set a record. But Maravich was quite a showman, as you well know. And the Mississippi State fans had a habit before the game of getting a basketball from the opposing team during their warm-ups and throwing it up in the stands and then bouncing it around up in the stands and keeping it away, from their team. And so security came up and grabbed the basketball and threw it back out on the court. Maravich got it and threw it back up in the stands.
How about that?
And as we gave him a standing ovation.
No, that's pretty good.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you've heard about what you say that he can and cannot do.
Yeah.
He was a man ahead of his times. He was a man among boys, and one of his biggest attributes was his ability to pass the ball.
Right.
And of course, he could score, as you know. He'd come across half court shooting the ball. But one time he took a rebound off of the goal. His wingman had taken off down the court, and before Maravich hit the court with the rebound, he threw it behind his back and hit him at half court for a wide open layup on the other end.
Oh, man.
We gave him a standing ovation for that one, too.
Yeah, there are not many guys, even back then, is it, Jim, who have come through the SEC who in opposing arenas could generate a standing ovation. Those are few and far between.
Absolutely. We loved him. We loved him because, you know, he was so entertaining and he was such a good guy out there. I mean, he really was. And the things that he did with the basketball were just beyond explanation. There are a few videos, YouTube, stuff like that show some of his shots, and I saw every one of those at one point or another. Yeah. The other thing I was going to mention to you, the Cow Barn, where they play volleyball now, it was called the Cow Barn. Okay. And I remember the Beach Boys came, and they were up on the stage, and they said, let me ask you a question out in the crowd. Is that dirt out there on that floor? And of course, we all laughed because it was dirt out there on that floor. It was the Cow Barn.
You saw the Beach Boys in the Cow Barn.
I did, and they had an activity they would be singing, and they would go out in the crowd with a microphone to put in the face of students and let them sing along with them. And of course, everybody was real shy. What they did not know was sitting on the second row was a young lady. I believe her name was Mary Kraft, and she was had a professional voice and went on, I think, and actually made a living singing. Well, he put the microphone in her voice, and she started singing along with him. And he said, "Whoa, you need to come up on stage," and took her up on stage. And I mean, the place was just
very cool story.
Wild. And the other one was Neil Diamond.
Inspired by Chuck.
I like adventure.
I'm 𝐌𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬
Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up through a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company, That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. Jim, I appreciate your call earlier. The commercial break and the music cut us short. I thought I heard Jim saying Neil Diamond also, that he got to see him at one point. But it was a pretty cool story. I seen the Beach Boys at the Cow Barn, what used to be called the Cow Barn, where the volleyball team plays now. And they've turned it into a nice gym facility. But it used to have a dirt floor, and the Beach Boys were there. Jim said during the middle of the concert, one of the Beach Boys said, "Hey, is that dirt y'all are standing on?" Man, to be in college in the 60s and 70s and see those kinds of things, you know, like Winslow telling us that he got to see Billy Joel in the 10 gym at State. Isn't that incredible? From there to Madison Square Garden about 10 times a year. Will echoed that sentiment. He's on YouTube. He said, "Man, I can't imagine seeing so many great bands at State. They booked Flo Rida for Bulldog Bash while I was there, but he never made it because he missed his flight." Rick is the one who, in church group as a kid, got to go and watch Pete Maravich play at McCarthy Gym at Mississippi State. He said it was packed out for Pete. He said he did see Dan Fogelberg in the 10 gym. And remembered that he sat in a metal chair when he played, metal folding chair when he played. That's neat. That really is cool. Let's see, Jason in Flagstaff on the Country Pleasing text line says, "Which one of those Alabama games did Chris Rainey win? I can still hear Uncle Jack's call about him disappearing in the line. A few seconds later, he's in the end zone." Yeah, it might have been 98. 97, I think JJ had all our rushing touchdowns in that ball game in 97 in Tuscaloosa that we won. 96, we beat Alabama in Starkville, and I know Robert Isaac had several big runs in that game. Maybe Chris played in that one in 96 too. I mean, it's absolutely possible. That could have been 96. That was the, 17-16 win in 96. But beat him in 97. Could have been 98. Beat him in Starkville in 98. I still remember exactly which one that was. So I mentioned Chris being the option quarterback for Coach Hall, Bobby Hall at Amory High School in the early 90s. Paramount Outdoor Living, he texted the show. He said, "Chris Rainey pitching the option to Joe Gunn and throwing to Rufus French was tough for 3A high school football." Wasn't it, though? Wasn't it? Yeah, they had a pretty good football team. They were fairly loaded. Scott texted us and said that he saw REM in the Tad Pad at Ole Miss back in the late 80s. And he said nothing like that happens anymore. Yeah, what are the venues? Well, I mean, I guess You know, from an outdoor perspective, I mean, turning the baseball stadium into a concert venue, that's pretty cool. From a distance, it seems cool, but I guess there's also a chance you attend it. It's a little weird. But yeah, bringing them into your basketball arena, I guess that doesn't happen anymore. Beaver would know. He's more the concert guy. He's been to a bunch of them. He would know. Speaking of gyms, though, all right, so you got games tonight. Well, here were, let's go SEC scores from last night. We've talked about some of them. Florida beat Tennessee by 30 points in Gainesville last night. 73-43, and Tennessee was the number 1 ranked team in the country. Thing about it is, Florida just dominated them, both halves. I haven't gone to look and see what Rick Barnes said about it. Florida was up 34-15 at halftime, but then outscored them 39-28, outscored them by 11 in the second half, win by 30. 43 points in a regulation basketball game for the number 1 team in the country. And let's see Tennessee's leading scorer. They had 2 guys with 10. They had 2 guys with 10 points. They got out-rebounded total 55-38. Tennessee shot 13% from three-point range. Good gracious. Look at this. I'm talking a doubled-up negative assist to turnover. Tennessee as a team had 6 assists and 12 turnovers. Again, I can't ever remember seeing something like that happen to a team who was supposedly the number 1 team in the country. I don't think I've ever seen that. Yeah, Auburn had a close game with Texas, and they were up by 12 at halftime. Auburn was, but it finished as a 5-point win. Texas outscored Auburn in the second half 55-48, just didn't catch them. So it was a 5-point win, 87-82. Auburn won at Texas last night. Mentioned that Georgia beat Kentucky. They didn't have Georgia ranked. Their second loss of the year was to Ole Miss last weekend. And then last night at home in Athens, Georgia won by 13, 82-69. They were up big. They were up by 13 at halftime. I mean, they just traded buckets in the second half, but Georgia won it by 13. Held on for it. Talked about State's win over Vandy. And Missouri beat LSU last night. It was in Columbia, and it was a relative blowout, a 16-point win. 83, is that right? 16, 17 point. No, 16. 83-67. I can usually get the math. I just don't get it quickly. That's the way that works for me. Okay, and then you have 3 SEC games that are going on tonight. They're biggies. Alabama will go to South Carolina. And South Carolina, worst record in the league. They are 0-1 after losing bad. Just got blown out by State this past weekend. But they're 10-4 overall. So South Carolina, they'll be at home tonight. 6 p.m. tip on the SEC Network. 5th-ranked Alabama goes in there. Alabama put up 100 on, who was it? Alabama. They're capable of just going off on anybody. And then also at 6, this is on ESPN2. Ole Miss going to have their hands full. They're a better team, but they're going to Arkansas, a midweek deal here on a Wednesday. So it's at Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville, 6 p.m. tip. Ole Miss at Arkansas. Ole Miss is ranked. Arkansas is not. Ole Miss is 12-2. Arkansas is 11-3. But Ole Miss is, 1-0 in the SEC after they beat Georgia last weekend, or this past weekend. But Arkansas fell to Tennessee in their SEC opener, so they're 0-1 in the SEC right now. And then there's another one tonight, and it's both, ranked teams, a couple of top 20 teams. At 8 on the SEC Network, you have 10th-ranked Texas A&M at 17th-ranked Oklahoma. So we got an old Southwest Conference matchup in basketball tonight that we're going to pass it off as an SEC matchup. So there's that. So we do have some stuff to watch. What about the football deal? Tomorrow, Friday, and then the weekend for the NFL. That's what we've got. So tomorrow, it is Penn State versus Notre Dame. 6:30 kick tomorrow night on ESPN. Notre Dame slight favorite now. They're playing it at Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami. 7 versus 6 in the playoff. Notre Dame and Penn State tomorrow night, 6:30 ESPN, semifinal. Winner moves on to the national championship game. And then on Friday night, a biggie. 6:30 p.m. on ESPN Friday night at Jerry's World, where the Cowboys play. Texas and Ohio State. I wonder what you think about that. I think Ohio State's going to win it. I think they're going to win it all. But it's in Texas. And, in terms of selling those tickets and having access to them, I wonder how that worked. Is there any advantage at all for Texas that the game is played in Texas? I don't really know. I don't know about that. But those are those. And we've got some stuff tomorrow night as a family, so I don't think I'm going to get to look at Penn State and Notre Dame, maybe just track the score, but I will look forward to getting to watch the Ohio State and Texas game on Friday night. And then, this weekend you're getting some playoff football in the NFL wild card stuff. So Saturday and Sunday. Now, if you're diehard, you've probably looked at this, but maybe you're not and you'd like to know. So here you go. Saturday wild card games, you have 2 of them. The first one is at 3:30 on CBS. They're also going to put it on Paramount. That's Chargers-Texans, 3:30 on Saturday. It's at Houston. Then Saturday night at 7 on Amazon Prime, it's Steelers at Ravens. Loser goes home, season's over. AFC North Division rivals. And it's in Baltimore. And then Sunday, you'll have 3 wild card games. The first is at noon on CBS, Broncos and Bills in Buffalo. Sunday afternoon on Fox at 3:30, it's Packers and Eagles in Philadelphia. And then Sunday night on NBC, it's Commanders and Buccaneers in Tampa. Man, I tell you, playoff baseball is so much fun. But playoff football in the NFL, I absolutely look forward to it every year. All right, a little bit of time left with you when we come back here today on this Wednesday in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, "Country pleasing, please." They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then I continue with my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. You get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
All right, back with you. A little bit of time left together here on this Wednesday in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says on the Country Pleasing text line, I hope Texas loses and it ain't close. Says the SEC absolutely gifted them that easier than anyone else SEC schedule. He says, especially the other new team. And I'm still mad that they got to join after sabotaging the Big 12 twice. Well, Jason, you're right. You're right. You and I agree. You and I agree on the 3 pieces of evidence that you gave. I don't really care if they lose or not. I just think they're going to. I think Ohio State's a lot better. But did the SEC absolutely gift them a schedule easier than anyone else in the league this year? Yeah. Yep. Sure did. Not really sure how that happened. Don't have any clue, but man, I'm just enough willing to entertain conspiracy theories to raise an eyebrow at that. You want us in the league, right? Yeah, we really do. All right. Hey, step outside with me just for a minute. I want to talk to you about scheduling. I mean, come on. Okay, that. And I do agree, Jason, with you that they did sabotage the Big 12 twice. Really, it's, you could all put it under one umbrella, that long-term overall Texas over the years did everything wrong in terms of building a strong, stable house around themselves, which is, their credit. It's what Alabama did with the SEC. And, you know, I know there are other forces at play. And the SEC is a little different, but, you know, Texas chose to, at every turn, take a me approach in the Big 12, and that's it. They would not do equal revenue sharing. Didn't have to, so they wouldn't. Always wanted to have and keep, you know, that sort of hierarchy that where they had the upper hand in everything. And they did it financially too. And all in the world they did by doing that was weakened the conference around them. They didn't even realize it, but due to, I think, ego and puffing their chest out over the years with their fellow conference members, they were standing on the neck of their own conference all that time, choking it. And glad to do it. And what Texas did is they choked it to death and killed it and left. I mean, whew. Meanwhile, you know, you could look at the SEC over the years, and you've had some folks that if they wanted to really throw their weight around, they could have well done it and caused some changes and some issues, but didn't, because I think people at other schools around the league understood all those years that the stronger the conference is as a whole, the better it is for everybody, especially the strongest team in the strong conference. It's better for them. And they were right. Now, here we are in 2025, maybe all that stuff's not the case anymore. Maybe not. Over to the phones, the Divini Equipment phone line. The man who gifted us some pure cane syrup yesterday is on the line with us, Wayne. Thanks for calling, Wayne, and thank you for the syrup. I ate some this morning at breakfast in Vicksburg, and it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, you talking about pro baseball, the Braves, you know, Max Fried, you know, he went to the Yankees, and Johnny Martin went to the Orioles. It'd be interesting to see.
Wait, but who'd you say went to Baltimore?
Charlie Morton.
Yeah, Charlie Morton. Yeah. You know, it's hard to figure out. It's hard to figure out what they are doing. I don't know. I mean, I halfway trust. You look at what the Braves have done in recent years. You halfway trust their ability to make decisions on that kind of thing. But that's too big. That's two huge holes to fill right there.
Well, I'm mad they got them in the. They got something lined up, and I thought old Chris Sale, I thought he was going.
Yeah, I know.
But I guess he's not.
No, I guess not.
And then you know, Acuna and what's the guy he pitches? Both of them, they ain't gonna start it. They're not gonna start it.
Right.
The season, you know.
Right. Yeah, they hurt.
All right, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the service.
I really did. My father-in-law had some leftover biscuits there, and I cut one in half and heated it up and put that syrup on it, and it was really good. And I appreciate it very much, Wayne. Thank you.
A retired preacher, he puts his on cornbread.
Oh, okay. Hey, I bet it's great.
I bet it is too.
Yeah.
All right, man. We y'all have a good y'all. Are you down here with us, or you up?
I'm in North Mississippi. Yeah, I'm in North Mississippi again. Yep.
Y'all battle down. Get
Yeah.
some of that snow. I know.
Yeah, it keeps changing. Like every 2 or 3 hours, they change the amount of snow they say we're gonna get. But they are saying we're gonna get some. So I'm ready. Either way.
All right, man. I'm glad y'all enjoying the service.
Yeah. Thank you so much for it, Wayne. Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, see you. Hey, let me check in with B before we have to say goodbye. Hey, B.
Hello, Matt White.
So, I meant to ask you yesterday, were you planning on sharing any of that syrup Wayne gave you with like I'm not real C, Big L?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were about to say Jake, and I was going to say nope.
You're going to say, no, not sharing it with Jake. You know, we did see Jake when we walked out of the studio yesterday, and we were holding those goodies. And I bet Jake did walk away wondering, hey, come I didn't get any whatever is in that jar. Did he bring it up?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
I don't think he noticed.
Okay.
I don't know how observant he is.
Yeah. Anybody bring up to him yesterday that we had a real good laugh remembering some of the things he said incorrectly on the radio over the years?
No, nobody mentioned it yesterday.
Did you?
But it's only a matter of time before we have something fresh to make fun of.
Right.
You know that.
Yeah. It'll happen. Another question. I'm just peppering you with questions here in the last 2 minutes, Beaver. I hope this is okay.
Yeah, sure, Trebek.
Is Jake aware that you have banned Chris Brooks for what is it, a week or a month?
Oh, it's a month.
A month. Is he aware? Is Jake aware?
Yeah. Because I said it because the offense happened Monday, so I immediately after it announced to Chris.
Yeah.
That he's banned for 22 days left.
Yeah. Beaver, you ever have anybody on the highway cut you off?
Yep.
So this morning I'm coming up I-55. The sun had just come up, and I'm in the left lane, and I'm going a pretty good rate of speed. You know, speed limit 70. I'm going up I-55 about 78 miles an hour, not quite 80. And I'm in the left lane. I'm approaching a great big truck that's in the right lane. I'm going to pass it. But up behind me in the left lane comes this pickup truck. I mean, getting it. Comes flying up right behind me. Headlights shining. I'm talking about he's right on my bumper, and I'm thinking, man, this guy's in a hurry. I better get over. So I get over in the right lane real quick to let him go by. And you know what he did? He pulled right up beside me. He slowed down, pulled right up beside me, did not continue going as fast, so that I was forced to hit my brakes behind that big 18-wheeler in the right-hand lane. And as I hit my brakes and he went by, giant sticker on the back window, SIP.
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep. SIP. The logo is big sticker, SIP, back window.
Huh.
Yep.
Clearly trash.
And I'm not making it up. And it was one of those where I was not in a combative mood. I'm like, who cares? Whatever. Just get out of here. But when I saw that, I did have a little snicker. I thought, man, if it wasn't dangerous and it wasn't so early and I knew you were asleep, I'd video this right now and I'd send it to you right after we got through talking about that. I got cut off in the SIP by a man who uses that liberally as a sticker on his window. SIP. Hey, what does Chris Brooks drive, by the way? That wasn't him, was it? It might have been, come to think of it. Track me down. Well, all right. That was a good one today, and I appreciate y'all so much on the live stream and all the texts and phone calls. I enjoyed it. Here today in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you then. See ya.